By the mid-1970s, Juventus had established themselves as a powerhouse in Italian football. And over a 10-year period under Giovanni Trapattoni, this was a status emphatically reinforced. It was a decade that brought 2 Italian Cups and 6 league titles, and saw some undeniably great players deliver every European trophy. In 1982, 40-year-old Dino Zoff lifted the World Cup in Madrid. Italy had won football's biggest prize for the 3rd time. Zoff was one of 6 Juventus players among the 11 who started the final against West Germany, with goalkeeper Zoff as captain. Gaetano Sciarrea played sweeper behind a 4-man defense that included Claudio Gentili and Antonio Cabrini. Marco Tardelli was in midfield and Paolo Rossi led the attack.
The spine of the team was from Juventus. I think in a national team you always need a spine that helps you win trophies and play good football. And our manager
to win over favourites Brazil helped him finish as the tournament's leading scorer with 6 goals. And it's hard to forget Marco Tardelli's celebration after scoring against West Germany in the final.
Of course, it made us proud and extremely satisfied. We contributed massively to the national team, and it allowed us to say, look, with our players, we've won the World Cup. That was immensely satisfying for the Juventus colours.
Based in northern Italy in the city of Turin, the Juventus club has been controlled since 1923 by the Agnelli family, main shareholders of the car manufacturers Fiat. Gianni Agnelli, grandson of Fiat founder Giovanni Agnelli, shaped the modern Juventus as an owner with a fan's enthusiasm.
The most important person at Juventus was Agnelli. He was the owner, and he was the one who put his stamp on the team in terms of behavior, in terms of class, everything really.
In 1971, Agnelli appointed Giampiero Boniperti as club president. It was a shrewd move. Boniperti was revered as a player, having scored 178 goals in more than 400 appearances for Juventus, and his drive and vision would go on to transform the club.
He was a president who wanted to win at all costs, and he passed that on to the team and the manager. We had a winning team at Juventus. That came right from the top with the Agnelli family. As a result, everyone at the club had to have that mentality. If you didn't adopt that mentality after a year or two, then you were on your way.
Boniperti was someone who played football. He was a great player, and he was aware of the problems that arise in the game and with individual players. In Italy, he was virtually the most important man involved in the game. But still, Juventus hadn't been capable of winning a trophy when they were playing abroad.
Juventus reached the European Cup final for the first time in 1973, but they failed to prevent Dutch giants Ajax from winning the trophy for the 3rd year in a row.
We were unlucky because we had to face the mighty Ajax, and we lost in the final. And afterwards, we had 3 or 4 years during which we failed to reach a final, of any sort. Then Trapattoni arrived.
When I arrived in Turin, I had a very strong squad of players. Bettiga, Zoff, Causio, Gentile, world-class players. And I realized when I explained to them my ideas about how I wanted them to play, they understood and they immediately placed their faith in me.
He brought with him a lot of youthful enthusiasm. He was very young. It was his first big job. The Juventus institution with Boniperti was very important. And he certainly knew how to manage all of his players.
I think he was a coach who changed things, implementing the transition from the football of the previous years to the modern approach of total football, introduced by Ajax and Holland, where the defenders join the attack.
Trapattoni's impact was immediate. In 1977, Juve advanced to the UEFA Cup final, where they met Spain's Athletic Bilbao.
The club, the fans, and the players all wanted to win something in Europe. I remember there was a lot of pressure because of that.
Juventus won the first leg, 1-0 at home.
I'd managed to score in the first leg. It was a wonderful goal, a great memory, where it felt like the entire stadium collapsed in on me. Those things remain with you for your entire life.
The second leg took place in the intimidating atmosphere of Bilbao's San Mamés Stadium. Juventus, though, started brightly.
After 7 minutes, I scored with a header. At that moment, we thought that we would have an easy time of it. Well, it turned into a nightmare because we suffered tremendously during that match. Our first European trophy seemed to be heading our way. And you'd think going in front would make things easier for us. On the contrary, it made it even harder.
The Spaniards rallied and equalized just 4 minutes later, and with only 12 minutes remaining, Bilbao took the lead. Still, Juventus retained their advantage thanks to that crucial away goal from Bettiga.
We were 2-1 down. I remember during the last 10 minutes, more than actually playing, we were asking the referee, surely the game is over. We suffered. We struggled against our opponents and the atmosphere.
But Juventus held out.
In spite of everything, we brought home the club's first European trophy.
4 days later, Juventus became champions of Italy once again. After retaining their league title in 1978, they supplied 9 players to the Italian national squad for that summer's World Cup in Argentina. The Azzurri went on to finish 4th. But it wasn't until 1981 that Juventus were again crowned champions of Italy. A 1-0 win over Fiorentina on the final day regained the Scudetto. The following season saw a significant departure. Irishman Liam Brady, a firm favourite in Turin, moved to Sampdoria, but not before he had signed off with a dramatic flourish. On the final day of the season in 1982, Brady scored the penalty against Catanzaro, which saw Juventus retain the title once more.
Liam Brady took the responsibility of taking a penalty, knowing that the next season he wouldn't be at the club, and he showed great strength of character in doing so.
I think we only realised how good he was when he left, because he certainly was a world-class player.
Just weeks after the Serie A title was decided, 6 of Brady's former teammates traveled to Spain for the 1982 World Cup.
When you have a national team which has so many players from one club, that's significant. You're aware that it gives the team a certain desire from that club. You feel obliged to perform. I think that's something very important for a team to have.
Initially, Italy struggled in Spain, but as the tournament progressed, confidence grew. They went all the way to the final.
Let's just say that we had the belief and the awareness of our strength. We knew that everything was going well and that everybody was okay. We knew that we could win.
We were all very close friends. We helped one another, especially during the tough times in the first round. And this is what led us to then go on and win that World Cup.
Italy became world champions for the first time since 1938. Dino Zoff, as captain, lifted the famous trophy after they defeated West Germany 3-1 in the final. The country was indebted to Juventus.
The fact that Juventus provided so many players for the national side, 6 players, and at the previous World Cup in Argentina there were even more, that makes you proud, of course.
While club success led to national glory, the 1982 World Cup in turn produced benefits for Juventus. Trapattoni signed 2 players who, in Spain, had been outstanding for their countries. Midfielder Michel Platini had captained an impressive French side at the tournament, and forward Zbigniew Boniek had scored a hat-trick for Poland against Belgium.
This was a time in Italy when you could only have 3 foreign players per team. We had to make some sacrifices, Liam Brady, for example, if we wanted to bring in Boniek. Poland and France finished 3rd and 4th at the World Cup, and they were the 2 key players for their countries.
Platini and Boniek were known all around the world. Platini had Italian origins, and so he had a similar background to us. They were 2 very important reinforcements for the side.
We were all very sad to see Brady go, as he was a great guy. He is a great guy. But you can't moan when Platini is the replacement. He was a great player, as well as being very intelligent.
Juventus had all those Italian World Cup winners. And in addition, Boniek and Platini. That was one of the best Juventus teams ever assembled in the club's history. Platini had a few problems adapting to the squad initially, but in time, he was fantastic.
The arrival of Boniek and Platini made Trapattoni's starting 11 one of the most formidable ever seen at club level.
This has always been the Italian approach to football. Sort the defence out first, then build from midfield through to the strikers. That back 4 played together for years, and we enjoyed a lot of success. A house is always built on good foundations, and the defence is very important.
Marco Tardelli shone in midfield.
Tardelli was an attacking player, and so were Boniek and Platini. Platini would score around 15 to 20 goals by the end of each season, so we were very attack-minded. I was the holding player, who gave the team balance and stopped us getting caught on the counter-attack. After Italy had won the World Cup, Juventus had an amazing squad, including Boniek and Platini. It's not like we felt we were the best in the world, but we knew we were good.
We didn't think we were big shots or anything like that. On the contrary, the more you win, the more you need to be on hand to help others. We did everything in our power to help Platini and Boniek settle in.
Of course, looking around the dressing room, we felt very strong. And that season, we showed we were exactly that by doing well in the European Cup.
That season, Juve knocked out holders Aston Villa on the way to the European Cup final. The Bianconeri were firm favourites for the game in Athens, but the manager wasn't so sure.
I'd watched Hamburg 3 times. I knew that even though we'd won 7 and drawn 1 en route to the final, I just felt that the type of game they played could easily cause us problems.
That month before the final, we played so many friendlies and had so many training sessions. We just didn't go into the match with the right mentality to play it. In our minds, we sort of thought that we'd won it already.
It wasn't a case of us underestimating our opponents, because we played well. The ball just wouldn't go in. There was a host of factors which conspired against us, and that's how it turned out.
Magat's goal was incredible.
It proved to be the winner, and a sad way for 2 Juventus legends to bow out.
It was a massive disappointment. I would have preferred my career to have ended on a different note.
If there's something that I reflect on in my own career, it's the fact that I would like to play that match again, because it was also the last time that I played for Juventus.
The following season, we were without 2 great players in Zoff and Bettega, 2 of our main players, not just for Juventus, but for Italian football, and that was hard to digest.
Without them, though, just under a month later, Juventus did win a trophy.
The only trophy that we won was the Italian Cup against Verona, and that was very tough. Since we lost 2-0 at Verona, and we won 3-0 at home. So that was a big consolation. But to win it like we did, in the last minute of extra time, was great for the fans, the club, and for us.
It was an achievement that earned a place in the following season's European Cup Winners' Cup. And after defeating Paris Saint-Germain, they met Manchester United in the semi-final.
It was very important for the club, but also for the players. Juventus always enter competitions to win them.
The first leg ended 1-1. In the home return, Juventus took the lead.
The goal came from a long pass from Platini to Boniek, who was in front of goal. With only the goalkeeper to beat, and with a bit of luck, he scored.
But the visitors equalized with 20 minutes remaining. Extra time approached. Then, with just 1 minute left, Paolo Rossi scored a dramatic winner to take Juventus through to another European final.
We won a match that had been evenly balanced, but we deserved the victory because we had played some fantastic football.
For the final in Basel, Switzerland, Juventus fans crossed the border in droves to see their heroes face Porto of Portugal.
We played well, and we took the lead with a great goal from Vignola. We knew that Porto were a great team, with quality players, and that their main strength was keeping the ball.
Although Porto equalized, Juventus were determined not to suffer European heartache again. Boniek scored what turned out to be the winner.
Winning a European trophy is definitely different from winning your domestic title. You come up against the very best in Europe. Your hard work is rewarded, and so winning the Cup Winners' Cup was a great triumph.
That was a game that we won with our heads. We'd won the UEFA Cup in 1977, and this was our second chance to win something big, because the Cup Winners' Cup was considered a great tournament.
That season brought cause for a double celebration. Juventus also regained the Serie A crown they had lost to Roma in 1983. The trophy cabinet was bulging. The European Super Cup was won for the first time, as European champions Liverpool were beaten 2-0.
We played really well, and Boniek was the star of the show and pretty much won the game on his own.
Under Trapattoni, Juventus were now missing just one European trophy, the European Cup. In 1984, Michel Platini had captained France to their first European Championship title. At the height of his powers, Platini was heading for a hat-trick of European Footballer of the Year awards. And he proved instrumental in Juve's semi-final victory over France champions Bordeaux, setting up 2 goals and scoring the other.
Michel Platini was such a complete player because he was able to do everything. He got us organised, and he was a midfielder who scored so many goals.
In the final against holders Liverpool, Platini's penalty sealed victory and the first European Cup for Juventus.
When Platini scored the penalty, we celebrated as we normally would. We didn't know what had happened, and we just celebrated as usual, because we were closer to winning the trophy.
What had happened was a tragedy on a huge scale. An hour before kick-off at the Heysel Stadium in the Belgian capital, Brussels, crowd trouble had broken out on the terraces between fans of the 2 teams, leading to the collapse of a wall. 39 people died.
That cannot be considered a game because of what happened. There is no sense in winning a trophy when so many people have died. Something like that should not have happened because it was not a suitable stadium in which to play the European Cup final.
Officials from FIFA and UEFA said that the best thing to do was to play the match. It placed us in a difficult situation because we knew that there were casualties, but we had no idea people had died. We realized exactly what had happened only after we had won the match. This is an unfortunate event that will always be a stain on the history of Juventus Football Club.
Despite the tragedy, Juventus were officially champions of Europe and so traveled to Japan for the Intercontinental Cup against Argentinos Juniors, the South American champions. The teams shared 4 goals in 90 minutes. When extra time proved goalless, penalties ensued. With Juventus leading 3-2, Platini took their 5th penalty. Juventus were club champions of the world.
The greatest trophy we won was the Intercontinental Cup. To become world champion at club level has to be the highest recognition for a player.
That triumph gave Juventus every possible major honor between 1977 and 1985, including all 3 main European trophies and 5 Serie A titles during a period when Serie A was considered the strongest league in the world. And key to this success, indisputably, was Giovanni Trapattoni, a manager who molded world-class individuals into a world-class team.
When he came in, it was like a breath of fresh air. He provided youthful enthusiasm and a new way of playing.
Trapattoni developed a style of play that delivered success both domestically and internationally.
We didn't think we were unbeatable. When you think you're invincible, that's when you end up losing. But there's no doubt we did feel like a very good team.
He combined prime homegrown talent with inspired foreign signings and devised a winning formula.
If you have excellent players like Platini and Boniek, entertainment is guaranteed.
Underpinning all the conquests at home and abroad was a steely determination to be the best.
At Juventus, finishing second is like coming last. At Juventus, you have to win.
It was the Bianconeri mentality, the Juventus mentality. Wear this shirt and win.